Mad Max. It's set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where things are pretty rough and everyone's fighting to survive. You step into the boots of Max, a rugged, no-nonsense survivor who's just trying to find peace. But the world doesn't really care about peace, especially when it comes to cars and explosive showdowns. One of the best parts of the game is the magnum opus, your car that's more like a rolling fortress. The customization options are wild, letting you throw on everything from heavy armor to weaponry that'd make even the toughest gang think twice. You can turn it into this beast of a machine that you'll enjoy watching tear through the roads and enemies alike. There's something incredibly satisfying about engaging in high-speed car chases, launching harpoons at enemy vehicles, or just watching your car barrel through a gang of raiders. And speaking of raiders, the world of Mad Max is filled with them. It's not just the cars that make things fun. On foot, combat is a total blast as well. You get to take on a bunch of bad guys with a mix of punches, heavy attacks, and counters, like a true post-apocalyptic brawler. It's satisfying because you get to put Max's combat skills to good use, especially when you're up against multiple enemies. Every swing feels like it's meant to make a statement. Max doesn't back down from a fight. The open world is massive. It's a wasteland, sure, but there's always something to find, whether it's a hidden supply stash or an enemy stronghold to take down. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is one of those games that just feels like a power trip from start to finish. You play as a beefed-up Space Marine, and the whole experience is all about making sure the enemies in your path know who's boss. If you're looking to unleash some serious carnage, this one has you covered with an arsenal that'll make your inner warrior feel right at home. First off, combat is such a smooth mix of shooting and slicing your way through bad guys. You've got a whole arsenal of guns that'll make you feel like an action hero. Think bolters, plasma guns, and of course, the chainsword. There's nothing more satisfying than mowing down hordes of enemies with a big old chainsword, followed by an explosive shot from your bolter. The game doesn't just make you feel powerful, it wants you to feel powerful, and that's a huge win in itself. The flow between ranged and melee combat is seamless, which means you can totally play your way, depending on the situation or just how you're feeling at the time. Fancy chopping up some alien scum? Go for it. Feel like sniping from a distance? That works too. It's all about finding your style. The multiplayer side of things gives a lot of variety too. You've got your co-op modes where you and your friends can team up to take on tougher missions, or if you're more into the competitive side of things, there's a solid 6v6 mode that has some really fun team-based gameplay. You'll be trying to outsmart and outshoot your opponents, which adds a bit of that let's do this again feeling after every round. Lies of P. This one drops you right into the kind of gritty, stylish world that just begs to be explored. Everything feels tight and deliberate, especially the combat. There's a real weight to every swing, every dodge, every parry. And that arm? It's like your Swiss Army knife of destruction. You've got gadgets for days, each one adding its own flavor to the way you tear through enemies. Whether it's yanking them closer or lighting things up with a flamethrower, it just never gets old. What really stands out is how the game nudges you to stay aggressive. You're not just surviving, you're taking charge. There's this rhythm to the fights, a kind of dance where hesitation gets punished and boldness gets rewarded. And with how flexible the weapon system is, the possibilities feel almost endless. Mix and match grips and blades, and suddenly you've got this Frankenstein creation that's all yours. It's a whole toy box of tools with a very sharp edge. The choices you make aren't just for flavor either. They actually ripple through the experience in meaningful ways. Lie or don't lie, the game keeps track. It plays with that system in ways that really hook you, making every decision feel like it matters. You're never just running from one fight to the next, you're shaping the path as you go. And there's something really satisfying about how the world opens up. Every corner feels like it's hiding a surprise or challenge, and the game isn't afraid to keep you on your toes. Little Nightmares 2. This one's a spooky little ride, but in the best kind of way. Imagine being dropped into a world that feels just a little off-kilter in every direction, where every corner has you tiptoeing and holding your breath. It's got this eerie charm to it that's oddly addictive. Nothing's ever really safe, but that just makes every little victory feel way more satisfying. Movement feels tight, with every step and climb having just the right amount of tension. You're constantly figuring out how to get past weird, oversized obstacles and sketchy environments. There's this fun balance between puzzle solving and staying out of trouble. It's not just about being quick or clever, it's about both, sometimes at the exact same time. The pacing does this great job of keeping things fresh. One moment you're sneaking through tight spaces, trying not to make a sound. The next, you're scrambling to avoid something massive and unpleasant. The game keeps mixing up the pace just enough to keep you guessing. And it never overstays its welcome in any one area. The real fun comes from how it feels to move through this world. There's a nice blend of platforming, light combat, and teamwork. Partner mechanics actually feel useful and thoughtful here, which adds an extra layer to the gameplay without overcomplicating things. You're not just running around solo, there's someone else right there helping you figure it all out. What really stands out is how the game communicates so much without ever needing to spell things out. Everything just flows. Kingdom Come Deliverance. This one goes all in on realism and somehow makes that feel like a fresh take on the open-world RPG formula. It doesn't throw spells or dragons at you. It hands you a sword and says, "Good luck, try not to bleed out." And it works. Everything from the way you fight to how you dress, and even how much you've eaten, plays into the experience. It's not trying to impress with flash, it's aiming to pull you into a place where the rules feel grounded. The combat system stands out right away. It's slower and more deliberate, like a duel rather than an action movie. You can't just button mash and expect results. Timing, angles, positioning, suddenly every fight feels like a little puzzle. And it's not just one-on-one either. You can find yourself in full-on battles, and staying alive means thinking on your feet. Or just running. Running works too. Then there's the attention to detail. You've got layers of clothing and armor that actually matter. Food spoils. People remember your actions. Show up somewhere covered in blood, and folks will react. Forget to sleep or eat, and you'll start to feel it. It's all part of this bigger system that's quietly working in the background to make the whole thing feel alive. What really clicks is how open it all feels. You've got this sprawling medieval world full of castles, villages, shady taverns, and wide open forests. You can train, hunt, learn alchemy. Infamous Second Son. This one drops you right into the chaos with powers blazing and never really lets up in the best way possible. It's all about that fast-paced, high-energy gameplay that makes you feel like a walking explosion with style. There's this satisfying loop of powering up, zipping around the city, and unleashing absolute mayhem that just hits the spot every time. And the best part is how smooth and responsive it all feels. Movement, combat, abilities, they just flow. What really makes it pop is the way it constantly gives you new tools to play with. You're not stuck with the same old tricks for long. New powers roll in, and each one adds something fresh to how you move and fight. It keeps everything exciting and makes every encounter feel like an opportunity to try something different. Whether you're tearing through enemies or darting across rooftops, there's always a sense of momentum. The open world is just begging to be explored. There's a great rhythm to cruising around, taking on challenges, and slowly reclaiming the city piece by piece. It doesn't overload you either, just enough to keep you engaged without turning into a checklist marathon. Every corner has something cool going on, and you never feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. What's cool is how it lets you lean into your play style. Want to be more careful and precise? Go for it. Want to go full chaos mode and light everything up? Also totally valid. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. This one is all about embracing the cool factor of being a high-tech secret agent in a gritty cyberpunk world. It drops you into a future where high-tech augmentations meet real-world tension, and it does it with style. The second you step into it, the vibe just pulls you in. There's this balance of action and stealth that feels super satisfying, like every encounter is its own little puzzle. The way it lets you shape how you play is just smooth. Charging in guns blazing, sneaking around like a shadow, hacking your way through locked doors, or sweet-talking your way past tough situations, it's all up to you. Every approach feels valid, and the game rewards thinking things through. There's a loadout of augmentations that let you do some wild stuff, but what's even cooler is how they blend right into the gameplay without ever feeling overwhelming. Picking the right ability for the right moment becomes second nature after a while. Exploring the world is a major highlight. The places you visit aren't just pretty backdrops, they're layered with detail and little stories tucked into every alley and apartment. There's a real sense that everything connects, like the city has its own memory of what's gone down. The side quests deserve a shout out too. They're not just filler. Death Stranding drops you into one of the most unique gaming experiences out there. It's not your typical action-packed thrill ride, it's slower, more deliberate, and all about making connections in the most unexpected ways. You're carrying packages, climbing mountains, building bridges, and doing your best not to fall on your face with a stack of boxes strapped to your back. And somehow, that ends up being way more compelling than it has any right to be. There's this oddly satisfying loop of planning your route, managing your cargo, and making it from point A to point B without everything going sideways. Every step feels earned, especially when you've trekked across rocky hills, rivers, and slippery slopes to get there. It turns simple movement into something meaningful. There's a real sense of effort and accomplishment in the most mundane tasks, and it somehow feels peaceful. But it's not just about walking. You've got all kinds of tools and gear to help you out: ladders, ropes, exoskeletons, even full-on vehicles once you get deeper in. It starts out pretty grounded, but it grows in complexity as you go. You start thinking like a logistics expert, solving terrain problems, and optimizing your deliveries like a pro. There's something addictive about mastering the system and getting into that delivery flow. And then there's the multiplayer element, which is genius in its own quiet way. You don't play directly with other people, but their presence is always felt. No Man's Sky. This is one of those games that just keeps on surprising you even when you think you've seen it all. It's like stepping into a giant sci-fi sandbox where the rules are simple: explore, build, survive, repeat, but with your own twist. The galaxy is massive, like you'll never run out of planets kind of massive, and every time you land somewhere new, it feels like you're stepping into a fresh little pocket of the universe just waiting to be explored. One of the coolest things is how the whole vibe changes depending on what you want to do. You could spend hours harvesting materials and upgrading gear, get deep into trading routes, or just fly around charting planets and naming strange creatures. And then, out of nowhere, you'll find yourself building a slick little outpost in the middle of some radioactive wasteland or underwater alien jungle. It just keeps shifting, always pushing you towards something new. The freedom is where it really shines. You can go full-on space pirate, become a peaceful wanderer, or settle down and build a massive base with your friends. The co-op aspect adds a ton of flavor too, letting you share the fun with others, mess around, or even work on projects together. There's no rush either. The pacing is whatever you want it to be, whether you're the kind who wants to fly into black holes or just relax mining on a quiet moon. It's all good. What makes it even better is how much it's grown. Sleeping Dogs. Definitive Edition really nails that sweet spot between open-world exploration and action-packed gameplay. From the moment you dive into the streets of Hong Kong, it's clear this game is all about giving you a full-throttle, over-the-top experience. The city itself feels alive, buzzing with energy, and there's so much to do you'll find yourself just soaking it all in. The combat system? Oh, it's a blast. It's smooth, fluid, and super satisfying when you're pulling off those over-the-top takedowns. Every fight feels like you're a martial arts expert with tons of ways to make things look cinematic, whether you're using the environment to your advantage or just stringing together crazy combos. You might even catch yourself doing that, "oh yeah, that was cool" reaction every time you finish off a group of enemies in style. The driving's just as fun. Whether you're speeding through traffic in a sleek car or zipping around corners on a motorbike, there's this sense of freedom that makes you feel like you're in control of the streets. You can chase down bad guys, explore hidden corners of the city, or even engage in random street races if you're feeling a little competitive. There's always something to do that'll keep you hooked. On top of that, the side missions really help keep things fresh. They're not just filler content either. There's a variety of activities, from martial arts tournaments to helping the police clean up the streets. There's always something exciting going on, which makes the game feel even more alive. Fallout 4 is a game where you're just thrown into a world that's completely fallen apart, and it's up to you to make your own way through it. The game is like a giant playground filled with danger, mystery, and let's face it, a whole lot of junk to collect. You can spend hours just wandering around, exploring old buildings, picking up scrap to build something new, or finding new settlements to create a little piece of safety in the wasteland. And that's one of the coolest things about this game, how you can take a pile of junk and turn it into something useful, like crafting a powerful gun or even building your own house. It's all about getting creative with the resources around you. What makes the gameplay stand out is how much freedom it gives you. You're not just following a straight line from one mission to the next. You're in a world that's packed with side quests, hidden locations, and random encounters that you can stumble upon whenever. Want to help some settlers rebuild? You can do that. Feel like clearing out an old military base filled with raiders? Yep, that's totally your call. The best part? You don't need to do anything in a particular order. Just follow what catches your attention. Then there's the combat. It's a nice blend of real-time action and strategic thinking. You can just go in guns blazing or use the tactical Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, VATS, to slow down time and target weak spots on enemies. It makes the combat feel fresh, and it's fun to mix up how you approach different situations. Gears 5 drops you into a world that's all about intense combat, explosive action, and tough decisions. You're not just shooting your way through enemies, you're also getting a real look at what makes these characters tick, especially Kate Diaz, who's at the heart of the story. If you've been a fan of the series, the gameplay will feel right at home. If you're new to it, get ready for a rush. Let's start with the combat. It's everything you expect from a Gears game with cover-based shooting at its core. But it's not just about hiding behind walls and popping out to take shots. You'll be working with some pretty cool tools and weapons to make sure you're always ready for whatever comes your way. From classic weapons like the Lancer to new additions that bring fresh tactics into play, there's a real sense of strategy here. The gameplay encourages you to think about your moves before diving in. Then, there's the multiplayer. Whether you're teaming up in horde mode or jumping into the fast-paced competitive matches, the fun never really stops. You can squad up with friends or random players, and the action can get pretty wild. Escape mode is a standout here, offering a new kind of challenge where you and your team have to work together to clear out areas while avoiding swarms of enemies. It's chaotic, fun, and totally rewarding. But let's talk about the progression for a second. The game's got some solid progression mechanics that make you feel like you're always moving forward. Outlast 2. From the very beginning, the tension is cranked all the way up and it just never drops. Outlast 2 is one of those games that doesn't give you room to breathe, and somehow that's exactly what makes it so addicting. You're always on edge, always running, hiding, peeking through the dark, wondering what's around the next corner, and the game absolutely thrives on that feeling. What's wild is how it constantly shifts the ground under your feet. Just when you think you've figured out how things work, it throws you somewhere new with a totally different threat, and you have to scramble to get your bearings all over again. It keeps you in this state of constant unease that somehow becomes the new normal. And weirdly enough, it kind of works. You start getting good at surviving the chaos. The camera is still your lifeline, and using night vision feels like both a blessing and a curse. You need it to see, but it also makes everything more intense. Those narrow beams of light cutting through pitch black spaces never feel safe. And the battery management, that stuff makes every little decision count. Do you risk exploring a side path for supplies or play it safe and move on? It's a small mechanic, but it adds so much pressure in the best way. And then there's the pacing. It's constantly shifting between full-blown panic and slow, creeping dread. 1 minute you're sprinting for your life, and the next you're sneaking through a cornfield praying you don't get spotted. Crash Bandicoot 4. It's like getting that nostalgia hit, but with a bunch of new tricks up its sleeve. The platforming is just as tight as ever. The levels are jam-packed with those classic obstacles, from tricky jumps to sneaky enemies, and there's a real sense of flow that keeps you going. The quantum masks are a game changer. Each one has its own power that completely alters the way you tackle challenges. It's like getting a new superpower with every level, and it makes every stage feel exciting and different. Whether you're flipping gravity or slowing down time, those masks really shake things up and keep you on your toes. You'll also be jumping between a few different characters, and it's not just Crash and Coco. The others each bring something unique to the table. Whether it's Cortex with his ray gun or Tawna's grappling hook, they all have their own little spin on the action, so it's not just the same old stuff repeated. It adds a bit of spice to the formula and makes each character's levels feel unique. What really keeps you hooked is how replayable everything is. If you're all about chasing those perfect runs, there's a lot of opportunities to go back and hit those extra goals, grab all the collectibles, and see how fast you can race through a level. It's the kind of game that encourages you to keep coming back for more, whether you're more after a perfect time trial or hunting for every little gem. The way it all comes together is like this perfect blend of old-school platforming charm with enough fresh ideas to keep you interested. Borderlands 3 is the game that brings the chaos, fun, and loot-filled mayhem that fans love about the series. If you're all about grabbing a gun, blasting your way through enemies, and raking in sweet loot, you're in the right place. From the get-go, the game offers an action-packed, over-the-top experience that's sure to hook you. The mix of crazy characters, hilarious banter, and tons of weapons makes this one a blast to play. Whether you're exploring vast landscapes or fighting off hordes of enemies, there's always something exciting happening. And let's not forget the loot. Whether you're searching for that perfect gun or upgrading your gear, the rewards keep you coming back for more. The real charm of Borderlands 3 comes from its fast-paced loot shooter gameplay. Every enemy encounter feels like a chance to try out new weapons and abilities. The sheer variety of guns and mods means you'll never get bored. There's always something new to test out, whether it's a rocket launcher with explosive rounds or a rifle that shoots grenades. Each weapon feels satisfying in its own way. And that's part of the fun, getting your hands on something that totally changes how you take on a fight. As you progress, the character customization is top-notch. Whether you're in it for the explosive combat or the strategy of building up the perfect skill tree, there's room to tailor your playstyle however you like. Evil West. This one kicks off with such a punch of energy, it doesn't waste time getting to the good stuff. You're thrown right into the action, armed with a badass gauntlet and a whole arsenal of ways to wreck supernatural creatures. Evil West is all about that fast-paced, heavy-hitting combat that just feels chunky and satisfying in the best way. What really stands out is how the game mixes old-school design with modern flair. You've got a linear path to follow. None of that open-world fluff here, but within that, the fights are tight, explosive, and super punchy. The game wants you to get in close, punch, blast, dodge, repeat. It's built for momentum, and once you get into a rhythm, it's hard to stop. And those enemies? Big, ugly, and relentless. There's a whole bestiary of monsters that feel pulled straight out of dark folklore, but cranked up to 11. The game doesn't just throw cannon fodder at you, it throws challenges that make you learn patterns and use everything in your toolkit. You've got melee combos, electric bursts, long-range shots, and brutal finishers that never get old. The environments play into the mood perfectly. It's dusty towns, twisted forests, old mines, classic Wild West vibes, but with a supernatural twist. Each area feels handcrafted to host big brawls and cool set pieces, and the level pacing keeps things moving without ever dragging. Alan Wake 2 is a game that definitely keeps you on your toes. Right from the start, you're thrown into a world that's equal parts creepy and mysterious. You get to play as two totally different characters. One of them's trapped in a nightmare dimension, the other's an FBI agent solving some seriously bizarre crimes. And guess what? Both of them have their own unique way of dealing with the chaos. The gameplay? It's like this perfect mix of survival horror and detective work. You're not just blasting your way through enemies. You've got to be strategic about your resources. Ammo, batteries, that kind of stuff. Every time you shine a flashlight on the enemies, they get weaker. But those batteries don't last forever. So it really makes you think about when to fight and when to hide. And trust me, you're going to need to hide sometimes. Now, the investigative part, that's where the game really flexes. One of your characters is all about solving crimes and piecing together clues. The other one, well, let's just say his idea of investigation is writing his way out of a nightmare. It's pretty neat how you can switch between the two and dive into completely different types of gameplay. It's like getting the best of both worlds. As you go through, you'll come across different puzzles and moments that make you feel like a detective in your own right. The clues are everywhere, and it's up to you to figure out what connects them all. Astrobot. This one just makes you smile the whole way through. From the moment you start, everything just clicks. Tight controls, clever level design, and that kind of joyful energy that's super rare in games these days. Astrobot knows exactly what it's doing, and it does it with such charm that it's hard not to fall in love with it right away. The real magic is how playful everything feels. Every level throws something new at you, whether it's a wild new gadget or a completely unexpected mechanic that totally switches things up. It never feels like it's repeating itself. One moment you're hopping across bouncy platforms, and the next you're using a water cannon or a hook shot in a totally different environment. It keeps things fresh constantly, and you never really know what's coming next. And those little bots, they're just everywhere doing goofy things in the background, hiding in corners, or helping you solve little puzzles. It's not just cute for the sake of it, they make the world feel alive. You're not just platforming through empty spaces, you're moving through little dioramas full of personality. It also nails that balance between being accessible and still offering a bit of challenge. If you just want to breeze through and have a good time, you can. But if you're the type who loves hunting down every last secret or hidden collectible, the game's totally ready for you. Some of the later challenges will absolutely test your timing and precision, but it never feels frustrating. Everything just feels polished, like a lot of love and care went into the little details. Atomic Heart takes you on an adventure like no other. Imagine a world where the USSR has unlocked some pretty crazy tech and you get thrown right into the middle of it. Robots that were once your helpful companions, now they're running wild, and that's just the beginning. You'll be exploring vast, eerie facilities and battling through some seriously wild and unpredictable enemies. What makes this game stand out is how it mixes up your typical first-person shooter with these mind-bending powers you can control. Enter the Polymer Glove, which gives you abilities like telekinesis, electricity, and ice manipulation. It's like they combined the most thrilling parts of an action movie and gave you the power to use it in creative ways. Want to toss an enemy around like a rag doll? You've got it. Need to freeze something in place and blow it up? Easy. It's that kind of gameplay that makes every combat encounter feel fresh. But it's not all about blowing stuff up. There's a surprising amount of depth when it comes to crafting and gathering resources. Scavenging through the environment to find materials so you can upgrade your weapons or make new gadgets is a huge part of the experience. It keeps you on your toes because, honestly, you never know when you'll run out of ammo or need that extra healing item. And speaking of weapons, there's an insane variety. Whether you're using a good old-fashioned shotgun, a weirdly modified rifle, or just picking up whatever tool you find lying around, it all feels satisfying to use. The Division 2. This one throws you right into a chaotic, tactical playground where every corner feels like it matters. It's the kind of game that thrives on giving you a full plate of action, then dares you to clean it up with a mix of strategy and firepower. There's something incredibly satisfying about how it all clicks, whether you're locking down an objective, flanking a tough enemy squad, or coordinating with a crew to hold your ground in a firefight that just won't quit. What really stands out is how it rewards smart play. It's not just about having the biggest gun, it's how you use it, when you move, where you take cover, what skills you bring into the mix. The whole setup encourages experimentation, and the deeper you go, the more layered it gets. That whole endgame twist with new threats and tougher fights turns the entire experience on its head in the best way. Just when you think you're done, it doubles down and throws even more your way. There's a real sense of growth, too. Not just in leveling up, but in figuring out the systems, finding gear that suits your style, and building a loadout that makes you feel like a total powerhouse. It doesn't hand things to you, it makes you earn them, and that makes the wins feel that much sweeter. Then, you've got the dark zones and PvP options. High stakes, unpredictable, and full of wild moments. It's a whole other side of the game that keeps things fresh.